The Dragon Ball series is so iconic, you don't even have to watch the show to know who Goku is. That being said, it surely has impacted us throughout our lives, and because of that, we have gems like Jalen trying to go Super Saiyan.
My name is Jalen, and I am a Super Saiyan.
And I'm sure that's something a lot of us have tried doing, you know, flying, using ki, the whole shebang. In fact, in the comments of my short about Gohan teaching Videl and Goten how to fly, use ki, etc., a lot of you expressed trying to do these techniques yourself in person. You know, it's just really cool because in that episode, Gohan laid out all the rules and all of us were like, oh, yes, we can do this. Some of you guys even claimed that it worked, which is amazing, because if it really did, you'd be like, you know? I think I'd see a lot more superpowers out there is all I'm trying to say. So, you know, I know you guys are joking, and I love how everyone's just having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? But seriously, Dragon Ball has changed our lives, whether you watched it back in the Toonami days,
Alright, Boo. Let's do it. That's way too much energy. It's enough to blow up the planet 10 times. He's crazy! This is it! Majin Boo's so much stronger than anyone I've ever faced before. But I know there's still a way to win! What I represent can never be destroyed.
or you got a bootleg VHS tape. If you guys know what VHS tapes are, you guys are OGs. Because, well, anime was just really hard to find back then. It was either on TV or taped. But if you're a newer viewer, as always, that is awesome as well. It's awesome to see new people tune in to the medium. So don't feel like you're left out like, oh man, I'm not an OG. You're still cool, alright? You're still cool. Because here's the thing with Dragon Ball. There's one, always something cool to say about the show. And two, there's always probably somebody in the room that knows all about it. That's how iconic this anime is. And before I really dive deeper into it, I just want to know some stories from you guys about Dragon Ball. Like something personal maybe? Like for example, I first saw the show at around age 6. I was like a young little lad and my brother showed me the show. And well, I've been a huge fan since then, pretty much. I would dream of the show, which I will get into later. But yeah, you know, you could talk about a con experience. I went to the first couple Kamea cons, which again, I will get into as well. I just want to know what the show means to you, so let me know down below in the comments. And now is the part where people would probably be like, be sure to like and subscribe. But I want you to watch this whole video so you can get the feel for it and decide if you like it or not. And by the end of the video, I hope to earn that subscription. I hope to earn that like. That being said, let's jump right into the video. So, as my personal example went, I was shown Dragon Ball at a young age by my brother, and since then, I've just been a very long time fan. Not just with Dragon Ball, but anime in general. You know what I'm saying? I just remember finding Naruto pretty shortly after Dragon Ball, and showing my brother, and then seeing him read the manga. You know, it brought a tear to my eye. It made me happy as a kid, like, oh, I influenced him in some way. So it's just kind of awesome that Dragon Ball, well, anime in general, is just iconic. And it was just something that we were able to bond over, like, even back then. Because, let me just tell you, I'm going to be quite honest. I was a doo-doo head child. I was a piece of crap. I was a menace. We are chill now, but, you know, obviously we're older, so we're more chill. But Dragon Ball was always something that, even back then, we could always bond over. So, hey, W anime. But I just remember that when Toonami was on, it was just a time to sit and watch Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z would constantly play, even when the reruns of Namek and the Saiyan Saga would play, which happened a lot back then. If you know, you know. It was just always time to gather around the TV, you know what I'm saying? And a quick side note, I do want to mention, now that I've said my personal story here, I've seen Instagram Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, stuff like that, where other brothers are showing their younger siblings the show to this day. And the fact that my experience is not much different than the generation of today is just pretty endearing. Like, it actually makes me really happy. It's really cool to see, you know?
That's Goku?
Yeah.
This isn't Goku. That's Goku with the yellow hair. This is Majin Buu.
This is Goku.
There you go. Show him, Lucas.
Look, this is Goku, Nico. Totu.
Toku. Oh,
And my Totu.
you're Goku. Yep. Look at your Goku. You look like him. You guys have the same exact hair.
But anyway, enough sentimentalness. I don't know. Anyway, back to my story. Dragon Ball was essentially just always in my life. And yeah, you know, not just watching the show, but of course the video games as well, because I had fun playing Budokai games. And keep in mind, I'm not saying Tenkaichi. The only Tenkaichi game I owned was 3 on the Wii. You know, you had to actually do the moves. But yeah, it was just really cool. Dragon Ball is just a really odd thing to watch back in the day as well, because like, here, now you have like streaming services, the internet. Back in my day, we only had Toonami. And the funny thing as well is, it was so interesting to watch back then, because believe it or not, OG Dragon Ball did not air first. It was Dragon Ball Z, and then later on, OG Dragon Ball aired. I'm pretty sure, you can quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that original Dragon Ball came out at like before Cell. But, you know, that's just my like young brain knowledge, just blah, blah, blah. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But essentially, I do know that OG Dragon Ball came out second in the US. I'm speaking the US, just to be clear. Because OG Dragon Ball obviously came out in Japan first. Anyway. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting, because I remember seeing Z first, and then as a kid, I was really confused, because I'm going to be 100%. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I did not know if it was like a Pup Named Scooby-Doo type thing. If you don't know, that's just a spin-off of Scooby-Doo. Because here's the serialized show. I'm a Dragon Ball fan. I can't speak. I can't read. Serialized shows were not really a thing for, you know, children or teenagers back then at the time. Everything was kind of episodic. So having a serialized show back then was really cool. You know, it's really interesting too, because these like the dub, the localizers, because here's something they always did too. Like we got Rock the Dragon. We didn't get like Head Shala. We got that in Kai. It seems like later on they realized, oh, we should use the same theme songs and stuff. So a lot of things were super Americanized, and it's just like, the fact that this was still the way it was, like, I think that's why a lot of the episodes were jumbled up and it wasn't like serialized in a way. And I just remember watching it in order because of that. Nowadays, again, it's easier because you got, you know, the streamers. But yeah, I just remember a few things as a kid too, watching this show. I didn't believe that Raditz was actually Goku's brother, even though I was told multiple times. And I distinctly remember being super confused because Linda Young voiced Frieza at the time. And, you know, obviously they got like the purple shine. So I was all like, Frieza? For some reason, as a kid, I was like, oh, that's a girl. But now, like, I'm older, obviously, like, oh, wait, no. And I don't make that mistake. Especially now that the voice is more, you know, it's not as Linda Young. It's not Genkai from Yu Yu Hakusho, which is also very confusing. But believe it or not, as well, Goten was my favorite character. But it's probably because I was around Goten's age at the time. I'm sure that was a lot of people's favorite character when they were around my age. And that's why I loved the OG Dragon Ball as well. And not only because it was funny and it was like, God tier anime, it's a masterpiece. I just related to Goku. But still, don't sleep on OG Dragon Ball. It is a masterpiece. Seriously, do not sleep on it. Toriyama really worked hard on that one with the choreographed action and especially the comedy. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just funny to think that Goku was an alien in OG Dragon Ball and we just didn't know while we were watching. And then Z came out and they're like, he's an alien, which I didn't. You know, as a kid watching Z first, I was like, huh, and I just knew that. But it's funny to think back then, like, people just didn't know that off the bat. But I could gush and gush about OG Dragon Ball all I want, but I'm just gonna stop there, because yeah. But essentially what I'm saying is, I was in on Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball was my thing. I absolutely loved it as a kid. So much that I even dreamed that I was within the Dragon Ball universe. Because I must have been like 10 years old or so, but I remember this dream so vividly because it was just so sick. So I was like in like a desert, right? And now that I think about it, it was probably like the Wastelands area where Vegeta and Goku fought for the first time. And for some reason, there was like a brown bench there. I say for some reason, but around my, around my town, there were these brown benches. So I was laying on those, and I was in like a Kid Gohan gi, and I was laying on a bench. I was just watching Frieza and Goku fight. Well, from above while laying on this bench. And I was just thinking, wow, ooh, you know, it's just, oh, that's so sick. Then all of a sudden Goku flies down, tags me in, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So then I fly up and I start brawling with Frieza. I'm flying, shooting Ki Blast, all that stuff, and I truly felt like a Saiyan in that moment. Not just because I was doing this moves, but because I actually enjoyed the fighting. I was having fun, and I'm just like, ooh, yeah, because I was getting into it. I remember I was trash attacking and all that. But yeah, that being said, you know, Z ended, and then there's a void in my heart. But I was able to play some amazing video games like Dragon Ball Sagas. Yeah, my cousins had that game. Needless to say, we only played for like 10 minutes. We're like, why? 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 Because, you know, back then you couldn't get very many games. So, you know, oh, mom got me this game. This only game I could play for the year. And it's just absolute dog. We're like, oh, no. Yeah, Sagas ain't it. But, hey, give it a try if you have it. Maybe you'll last longer than 10 minutes. Anyway, Dragon Ball Super. Let's just skip a few years and talk about Dragon Ball Super. So, it's been gone for a few years now, as the time of recording. And obviously we all want it back. But at the time, it was the most hype thing ever. Because I remember Battle of Gods came out, and I played the video game Battle of Z, which is, in my opinion, pretty good. But obviously, it didn't turn out very well. I just like that you're able to essentially change the color of every character. I thought that was really neat. You could change the color of the geese with a slider. That was neat. But I was just excited, you know. Dragon Ball was finally back. I was playing Battle of Z. I was having a good time. Super came out, the anime, and that's when I first got into like Dragon Ball YouTubers and the idea to start a Dragon Ball channel myself, which obviously took a while. You know, it took a lot longer than it should have probably before I started this channel, but I finally got into it. Obviously, I've had this channel for a while, but I haven't really uploaded content until now. And, you know, I just haven't looked back since. Dragon Ball Super was a wild ride. Watching the Dragon Ball Super films, which, you know, just to be clear, Battle of Gods and, you know, Resurrection F, I guess those are technically Z films, but they were in the anime of Dragon Ball Super, so, point being, the nostalgic feeling of Dragon Ball was finally back, and I even went to the first couple Kamehacons, which I talked about earlier. And for those that don't know, Kamehacon is a Dragon Ball centric convention, which for some reason I guess wasn't like a thing at the time. They say it was like the first Dragon Ball convention, but it was a dope convention regardless. Geekdom 101 was hosting, stuff like that, just to add a little bit more like credibility to it, I suppose. I remember walking past Sean Schimmel. I didn't like stop and say what's up and try to get a picture or anything like that. I just kind of said hey and walked by, because it was kind of clear that he was busy trying to walk around the con, trying to get to someplace. So I just didn't really want to bug him so hard. But it was cool. He said hey back and just went on his way. You know, it was nice. Mans was tall, I'll say that. And I know he's really into instruments and stuff. He's really into instruments and stuff, so he's probably playing the foghorn like a god. And that's all I'm gonna say. I don't have any like edgy drama stories like Sean Schimmel did this. He told me that I'm a poo-poo head. No, none of that. It was cool. He walked by. I said hey. He said hey. There's no bad blood. There's no like bad vibes. I got it. Overall, seemed fine. But yeah. So that was fun. It happened. And the thing is, Dragon Ball made me get out of my house, go to a convention. So Dragon Ball has influenced me in many ways, not only with this channel, but it actually got me to get off my chair and go to Dallas, which is where the conventions were. So that was fun. But yeah, the moment I was dreading finally happened as well. In fact, I'm sure a lot of us were dreading this. Dragon Ball Super ended, and when it ended, it felt like there was a hole in my soul, a void in my heart. I'm sure everybody felt that. And it comes from the cusp of the climactic battle of Jiren and Goku and the Tournament of Power, because, let's be real, I said that Dragon Ball Super, one of the hypest things to live through. I genuinely mean it, especially with the Tournament of Power, because this fight crashed Crunchyroll, and the episodes were shown at a stadium in Mexico, alright, in a Jumbotron. Dragon Ball has never been bigger. We've seen some movies since then, and we got a new series like Daima. In fact, the Latino fan base made Gohan Blanco real. I'm like kind of joking, half joking, but hey, I'm just saying, it's kind of cool to have Gohan with white hair. But yeah, so now we have Daima, and look. I'm gonna just say it right here. I've heard the complaints with Daima. I 100% understand why people are like very like iffed, but I think it's really good. Okay, I just started to catch up since episode 8 because I stopped watching after episode 8, but now I'm back on it. But people say it's GT 2.0, which is kind of valid, but now I feel like that's not necessarily true because the group has grown. But at the start of the show, I guess I could see why you could say that. There's one, like just the group dynamic. But now that's not really the case because the group has grown since then, like I said, and people are obviously wanting more saga adapted from Dragon Ball Super from manga to anime. Also, I'm sorry about that terrible joke, but it's just like, I understand that people want more Super, they want Super Season 2, but have you given Daima a chance? Because I actually think you should. I understand if you're waiting for the dub though, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for that. If that's the case, you good, don't worry about it. I do find it really strange though that we didn't get a cast like simultaneously. Usually that happens, we didn't get that this time, and for some reason you have to wait months for it to be adapted into the dub, which was really silly. They showed the first 3 episodes at the theaters and then just didn't release them or anything. So yeah, that was a mistake. But yeah, I've heard that people say the pace is slow. Well, I would say this, definitely like the first couple episodes, yes, but I think as of episode 8 and above, it's sped up, which is perfectly fine. Because on episode 8 as well, people were saying that the show doesn't have any action, but yeah, since episode 8, there's been quite a bit of action. In fact, there's a little bit of action before that, but episode 8 had 8 straight minutes of action, I counted. And it's just like, come on, man. Obviously, a lot of these complaints are very minor, but the show is definitely a wonderland of lore, of action. Like, it got really good. It got good. I could do, like, spoilers, like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm not going to tell you a spoiler, but stuff happens, and I think it's worth it. It takes place, like, directly after, the Boo saga from Z. So, obviously, they can't really, like, do anything super crazy between that, but at least now we're getting something. It's like, ooh. Because, again, a lot of the lore as well is from the guidebooks and now getting put into the anime, which is super, super sick. It's just like, yeah. And the comedy is probably my favorite part as well, to be quite honest. It reminds me of OG Dragon Ball. The comedy is super Toriyama coded. In fact, this is the last show that Toriyama really worked on, and it sounds like he really went in on it. And a lot of that was probably the comedy, because it just was really funny. And people say it's GT2, but in reality, I feel like it feels like OG Dragon Ball 2. It feels more like an OG Dragon Ball than a GT, in my opinion. And if you're into that, I say give it a chance. If you like OG Dragon Ball, definitely look at this, because I think it's totally worth it. And again, if you haven't watched OG Dragon Ball, please do so. I'm not going to gush anymore, but I'm just saying, don't skip parts. Don't be that guy. Like people who skip JoJo parts. But like, OG Dragon Ball was the first part, and then it was Z, and then I guess technically now it's Daima. But yeah, essentially, just watch it. Just watch it. It's good. Get lore drops. You find out where all these characters came from. It's good. You're skipping part of the journey if you don't watch that. Anyway, point being, Daima, fun to watch. OG Dragon Ball, fun to watch. Just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. The soundtrack of Daima is also just everything's wow. I'm gonna stop glazing. I know I'm glazing really hard, but just look at it this way. If you truly want a Super Season 2, give Daima a chance, because if it has, I guess, viewership, the odds of them continuing Dragon Ball, I mean, I'm sure they were going to regardless, but the viewership definitely helps. It's probably go, oh, people are watching the show, okay, and then they'll keep doing Dragon Ball. As well, keep this in mind, animation and quality takes a while. Obviously, Daima's been in the works for a long time, so give it a bit of a chance, and I'd say wait for the Super manga to at least get like one more saga, one more arc, I think. Like, keep in mind, they just redid, basically, the superhero film. I don't know, obviously it's changed quite a bit, so that's going to get adapted, I'd imagine, but you never really know what they're going to do. Point being, just give them some time to animate, give them some time to make it look beautiful and perfect, because Daima looks great because of the time they had. So hopefully we get Dragon Ball Super Season 2, as you guys say, to look and feel as best as possible, not only in story, but in the animation quality, because let's be real, we really do not want another Dragon Ball Super Season 1, Episode 5.